Meditating with metaphors. This time I'll read you the foreword, followed by 2 inspiring quotes. Then comes the introduction to metaphor 1, and finally I'll read metaphor 1 itself. Foreword Part 1. A 6-year-old boy lies in bed, pondering the darkness outside and where that darkness, that space might come to an end. And what if it did end somewhere? What would lie beyond that edge, and beyond that, until the deep dark made him dizzy? In high school, during Latin and Greek classes, the ancient thinkers Socrates, Plato begin to catch his attention. At the age of 18, his mother dies after a painful decline from cancer. He hears himself cursing, not just inwardly, but with deafening inner shout aimed at the whole world, and beyond that at the highest authority imaginable. He begins searching. Books on various religions find their way to him. Through them he discovers the work of Vivekananda, Krishnamurti, Zazen, and others. But when he concludes that even Krishnamurti offers no real practical way forward, he steps away for a while. Later, Krishnamurti will return and take center stage once more. At the age of 21, he wakes up after a car accident in a white room with a radiant white cloud floating just beyond the window, set against a deep blue sky. He realizes he has slipped through the eye of a needle, struck as it were like pole from his horse. For the first time in his life, he deeply feels that he is alive. It dawns on him that he is living in injury time, and for a while he moves through life almost untouchable. Until a year later, the so-called dream slowly begins to fade, and he finds himself caught again in the treadmill of time, of daily worries and drifting daydreams. Part 2. One Sunday morning in early April 2016, he hears Jan Geurts speaking about meditation on the radio. His attention is sparked once again, and he begins to immerse himself in the books of the man he calls his unknown master. Soon after come Edel Marx, Eckhart Tolle, then Mathieu Ricard and Rupert Spira. Despite their scientific prominence, figures like Erwin Schrödinger, Max Planck, Kurt Gödel, Fritjof Capra, Bernardo Kastrup, and Stephen Lorais also become sources of inspiration. Some ancient scriptures, seen through this new lens, suddenly become clear. Prophets such as Siddhartha Gautama, Jesus Christ, and Lao Tzu offer guiding light. Additionally, authors like Michel de Montaigne, Jorge Luis Borges, Fernando Pessoa, and Marcel Proust prove to be inspiring companions on his path. Since the spring of 2016, he sits twice daily for half an hour on a meditation mat and learns to meditate beyond the mat as well. To support this practice, he wears an old ring once worn by a master, carries small stones in his pockets, ties ribbons to every door handle in the house, a reminder inspired by the Jewish mezuzah, and sets alarms at certain times to rouse him from an all too long waking sleep. He also discovers that during the dormant years between disappointment and rediscovery, he had often been meditating while driving. This is a story, like so many others, of people who discover meditation. Part 3. The writer has never truly come into contact with a master, and so the metaphors are not laid out systematically, nor do they follow a clear growth process. Rather, they reflect the experience of a beginner and move from one thing to the next, as in unguided meditation, where one moment may feel like progress and the next like a setback, even though such self-evaluation doesn't really belong in meditation, where each sitting ideally begins with a blank, open page. What follows in the next pages can best be read as metaphors, images and likenesses relate to meditation, many of which arose during meditation itself. The words meditation and metaphors have been blended into the term meditaphors. Meditaphors are not necessarily logical or polished. They are, first and foremost, attempts to use something limited language to point to something unlimited awareness. Some of them may feel more like aphorisms than true metaphors. Modest attempts then to name and suggest different phases in meditation, in the hope that something might resonate with someone. This imagery might also be seen as a form of visualization, sometimes helpful as a way to begin the search for being aware, though that too can become a new form of attachment or illusion, precisely the kind of obstacle we hope to see crumble. As for form, the meditaphors have been refined here and there, sometimes even playfully, so they flow more easily when spoken aloud and carry a bit more rhythm and movement. This booklet is set up as follows. It contains 52 meditaphors and one joke, one for each week of the year, each printed over and enlivened by photos taken by the author in his surroundings using only his smartphone. Each is also accompanied by a short commentary. To let them sink in, you can chew or suck on them like a piece of licorice root, which here means more than just a sweet distraction. Sometimes a bit of reflection is called for. The foreword, the meditaphors with their commentaries, and the afterword form one whole. Just reading the meditaphors on their own, especially in the beginning, may not get you very far. Later, after some slow soaking in, a meditaphor may become a kind of anchor or tool in meditation. A book then for looking, thinking and doing, somewhat like a cookbook. I didn't want to confuse the kind reader with too many cross-references between meditaphors, so I left those out. Better to leave it to the reader to spot possible connections. The same goes for the lightness and humor. They are present but not overly pointed out. The booklet nor its author claims to hold a pure teaching or some kind of wisdom, and certainly not to compete with any of the masters mentioned earlier. You have come a long way if you realize you've only just begun. For the well-being of all sentient beings. Quote 1. And to establish the inferiority of reason, we paradoxically have to call upon that very same reason. For even though it does not deserve the ultimate crown, only reason can bestow that crown, and even if, in the order of virtues, it holds no more than second place, only reason is capable of declaring that instinct deserves the first. Marcel Proust in The 75 Sheets and Other Manuscripts. Quote 2. I no longer believe that we can change anything in the world outside without first changing something within ourselves. And that seems to me the only lesson of this war, World War II, that we have learned, if we have learned anything at all, that we must look only within and nowhere else. Etty Hillesum, age 28, in Uninterrupted Life. Explanation 1. The first meditaphor focuses on the breath. It needs little explanation other than to say that breathing can soften and slow down both the past, the future, and other mental constructions. Metaphor 1. Allow your calm breathing, like the bubbling surf along the shoreline, wash away all traces before and behind your moving feet. To be continued. If you enjoy following this project, feel free to subscribe to my channel. That way you'll automatically see when a new piece appears. And if you give it a thumbs up, you'll help others to find this series more easily. Do you know someone who might benefit from it? Feel free to share it. Thank you for listening. I wish you much wisdom. Warm regards, Jostri. Next time I'll read you metaphors 2 through 11, along with their accompanying reflections.